Hello everybody, Mike Daniels here with Rancho Coastal Properties Property Management, and today I want to talk about exactly what does a property management company do. So first and foremost, the property manager oversees the property and is in charge of keeping a resident occupied in the property and reducing vacancy and making sure the terms of the lease are kept. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first thing that a property manager would want to do would be to engage in the marketing and the leasing of the property. So we advertise vacancies through a host of portals. We can send them out to hospitals, to corporations, to local universities for people who might be moving into the area. We send them out to the MLS, it goes out to Zillow, Realtor.com, all of those. We also send vacancy notices out to, or properties that are available, out to insurance companies, traveling nurses, and the list goes on. So we do tenant screening for all the tenants as well. You want to make sure that you have a top-notch tenant. So here at Rancho Coastal Properties, we want to focus on having the best possible tenant that we can find you, because we have a $1,000 eviction guarantee. So if we pick a bad tenant, we're going to be on the hook for $1,000 to help pay for the cost of the eviction of the tenant. So our vacancy rate, or our eviction rate, is less than 2%. So we do a really good job vetting the tenants, and let me tell you how we do that, a little bit of it at least. So we'll do a background check for the tenants. We have a 12-point credit check that we do, a screening process, and includes the TransUNIon Resident Score Model 4.0. So we verify employment, income, credit, pre-qualifications, eviction check, landlord verification, sex offender check, public records, criminal check, bankruptcy check, pet verification, and collections history. So we run the gamut on these tenants. We really put them through a conclusive vetting process where we're pretty sure that they're going to be great tenants for you. Next up, we do the leasing management. We draft the lease, we negotiate it, and we enforce it. So we put all kinds of things in the lease to make sure that we protect the owner's interest in the property first and foremost. Next up is the tenant relations. So the tenant goes through us for everything. We do the move in, move out process. So we handle the inspections, the documenting of the property conditions, and coordinating the tenant's transitions. So how we do that, California has some really strict tenant landlord laws, and some of the newest ones for 2025 include having 3 sets of pictures. So how this works is, if you have a vacancy, you document the condition of the property before the tenant moves in. You take pictures of everything, the baseboards, door jambs, I mean everything that you can take pictures of. And then when the tenant moves out, prior to them moving out, they can opt to have a pre-move out inspection. You go back and take more pictures of it. Now, if you, after they move out, you would fix anything that you deemed that wasn't just regular wear and tear, and you could deduct that from their deposit. You have to return their deposit within 21 days. But then you have a third set of pictures to prove that you made the repairs on the certain spot. So that's just one thing with the move in, move out. We do conflict resolution. We strongly agree that the relationship between the property manager and the tenant always stays very cordial, always professional, and we rarely have any issues with our tenants. But we address tenant complaints, and we resolve those disputes professionally. We also collect rents. The rents are collected through our online portal. The tenant pays it. The owner has the rent money deposited directly into their account. Everybody's happy. The third thing that property managers focus on is the maintenance of the property. This is a big one, because if you decline maintenance, or you put maintenance off for a certain amount of time, then these things just sort of build up, and you have a property that it isn't worth as much as it could be if it were properly maintained. So routine maintenance would be making sure simple things like the lawn is mowed, the hedges trimmed, and weeding. Another thing that we do is we supply our tenants with air filters, extra air filters for the heater, air conditioner, so they too can go ahead and replace them once or twice a year, and that really helps the units themselves stay in good shape. So we do plumbing checks, inspection for leaks, drips, clogs. We check the water pressure. We check the water heater. Sometimes the water heater will have like a corroded base to it or something like that. we might suggest that the landlord replace it. We don't want to get a situation where the water heater inevitably goes out at 3 o'clock in the morning on New Year's Day or something like that. It seems like water heaters always decide to go out early in the morning or late at night on a holiday. So it's best to just make sure that they're in proper operating condition. Okay, so we also check the appliances and the maintenance. So we check functionality of the dishwashers, the ovens, the washers. We and any sort of repairs that come in that the tenant asks about. Just yesterday, I was on my wife and I, Stacy, were on a interview for a property management in La Jolla for a beautiful home in La Jolla, and the owner was asking us how we would respond given the distance is about 25 minutes. How would we respond to any sort of emergency? And the simple, straightforward answer is we don't respond. We're not going to show up, drive over to the house at 3 o'clock in the morning and deal with the water heater. What we're going to do is the tenant would report that through the online portal, and we would be alerted, and because we're on call 24 hours a day, and we would contact our 24-hour repair plumber to come out and get that fixed. Okay, so the portal is really cool because when the tenants pay their rent or when they say something's wrong with the property or needs maintenance, everything's documented. So at the end of the month, the seller or the owner can go back and look at the property and see what has been paid, how much has been paid out, and then at the end of the year, they would obviously have a summary of all the rents collected and money spent on maintenance and things like that. So they can go to their accountant with a clear idea of exactly what their net is and what they can write off. Okay, so which leads me to the next one, the financial statement. So budgeting, we create and maintain budgets for the property expenses. We provide financial reporting. We provide owners with detailed report, income, expenses, and overall performance. Next thing is legal compliance. So understanding the regulations for properties is really paramount here in California. It is most states, but California has a really strict tenant landlord laws. So we make sure that we abide and comply by local, state, and federal laws, including the housing and safety standards. Okay, next up, evictions. Evictions, if you are in the business long enough, they're inevitable, but a good screening process will clear out a lot of these people. And if you're renting a place for $10,000 a month and the person makes $100,000 a year, well, guess what? They're not going to be able to afford to pay the rent. So evictions are part of a legal process that we sometimes deal with, very rarely. But if in the event that there is an eviction, then we have an eviction guarantee, and we will pay up to $1,000 of the eviction fees that are paid to the courts. Okay, lastly, so maximizing the property value. This is such a huge element of property management. It's probably one of the biggest ones, and we maximize the property value. And what do I mean by this? We took a property on board last month or the month before, I believe. The lady had been self-managing the property for 10-15 years, I think. Her rents were so low. The rent she was collecting was about $4,000 a month. We came in, took over the property, and the tenant had moved out. She had it because the tenant hadn't paid rent in about a year. So not only was she giving him dirt cheap rent, but he just decided to stop paying rent altogether for about 12 months. She called us up and said she couldn't do it anymore. We were able to do a turnaround on the property, help get the carpets, paint, all of those things, lighting fixtures, and we're able to rent the house out for $7,200 a month. So that more than pays for our 8% per month management fee. So it's huge. So the maintenance of a property can be tied directly to the seller, or directly to the landlord. If you're a landlord right now and your tenant relationship is more like a friend level than it is a business relationship, then watch out for that, is all my advice would be, because it's hard for you to raise rents. It's much easier to have your property manager be that intermediary, be that third party that keeps the property going, keeps the maintenance going, and keeps the rents at market rate. So we can do that. We have the money to do that when the rents are being charged at market rate. It's kind of hard to ask the seller to replaster a pool or put a new water heater or refrigerator in when they're getting under market rate already. Okay, so in essence, the property manager takes on the liaison position between the tenant and the owner, and we assume all the daily responsibilities for maintaining the property so it operates smoothly and professionally. So if you're already a property management client of ours, then rest assured you know we're doing all of these things. If maybe you're thinking about interviewing for a property manager, please feel free to give us a call here at Rancho Coastal Properties, 760-822-1528, or go visit us online at ranchocoastalproperties.com. So until then, my friends, I wish you all the best. Thank you so much for watching this and have a great day. Bye-bye.